Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Over 4,251 cases of biometric tampering, nearly 2,000 fake disability claims, and 190 instances of AI-powered impersonations. Now, these staggering numbers, they didn't just come from a cybercrime syndicate report. They are the shocking revelations from the 2025 UTME, which is considered Nigeria's most critical gateway to higher education. Now, what should have been a fair test of knowledge has instead exposed the growing abuse of technology in academic malpractice. From finger blending to AI impersonation, the integrity of our education system is being called into question. So tonight, we wonder, if even our exams can be hacked, how secure is the future of merit and fairness in Nigeria? It's another episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name is Chioma Kalu. And tonight, our conversation, will be centered on the 2025 UTME scandal and AI. We're going to be talking about the future of merit in Nigeria's education. Now, remember, Ways is all about you, as you are the why in Ways. So be a part of the conversation every single day and add your voice. And also head on to YouTube now at Official Upgrade TV, subscribe, like, share, and invite your friends to join on the show now. When I open the phone lines, I would really want to hear what you have to say, especially on this topic. And as we do always on this show, here is a quote for you to ponder on this evening. It says, "The foundation of learning is built upon honesty, and without it, one's education is nothing but a lie." And this was said by Albert Einstein. We're going to go into this much later, but first, I'm going to go on a break. And when I come back, I'm going to take you through my news interest for the day. Don't go anywhere.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
You're welcome back. You're still watching Ways. If you're just joining us, you're welcome. And we're talking about the just concluded, well, not just concluded, the 2025 UTME and AI. Talking about where the merits and fairness in these exams now stand in Nigeria. But just before we go into that conversation, here are a few stories that caught my attention today. And the first one I have says, PDP SANS protests as Senate blocks Natasha's return. The story says, the controversy surrounding Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's suspension took a fresh twist on Tuesday as the PDP and several senior advocates of Nigeria condemned the Senate's decision to bar Akpoti-Uduaghan from resuming when the upper chamber reconvenes on September 23rd. Now, in a letter dated September 4th, the acting clerk to the National Assembly, Dr. Yahaya Danzaria, formally notified Akpoti-Uduaghan that her 6-month suspension imposed on March 6th remain in force until the Court of Appeal delivers judgment in her suit against the Senate. Now, the letter reads, the matter remains sub judice, and until the judicial process is concluded, no administrative action can be taken to facilitate your resumption. You will be duly notified of the Senate's decision on the matter as soon as it is resolved. Now, the communication dashed hopes of Kogi Central lawmaker, who, according to her lawyer, Victor Giwa, had already begun preparations to rejoin her colleagues after serving out the 6-month penalty. Akpoti-Uduaghan was suspended on March 6th after the Senate adopted the report of its Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, which accused her of insubordination for refusing to vacate her seat assigned her during plenary. The decision stripped her of salaries, aids, and office privileges. I don't know, I feel like if you are a Nigerian, the story of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan should not be strange to you. You know, it started in February when she got on a popular Nigerian TV station, and she made some very strong allegations. You know, she alleged that the Senate President, Akpabio, she accused him, you know, of sexual harassment. And since that day, everything has moved from 0 to 100, you know, from, you know, making those claims to coming to the Senate and her seat has been switched. You know, she even made some other tough allegations of saying some of these men involved, you know, including the Senate president, was planned her murder, you know. I think a couple of months ago, she came and said it. In fact, at some point, she was going to visit her constituents in Kogi, and there was, I don't know, miraculously, there was now a law or something, a curfew that was put by the governor of Kogi, Governor Dodo, saying something about no convoy entering from so-so time to so-so time into the state. I don't know, somehow you feel like this was targeted to this particular woman, because how is it that prior to then, there was no such rule? And just because she announced she was coming to see the constituents, whom she's been representing at the Senate, you're not putting up the law. Well, I'm not saying you did that for her, but it's just a bit suspicious. And Senator Natasha was not deterred by these things because, yes, you said no convoys. She came in with an, I think, a helicopter, beating everybody's greatest imagination. So it's just been from one drama to another drama, showing up court cases here and there, even those she said she wasn't aware of. Thankfully, her lawyers were there. You know, a lot of things have gone down this particular conversation. And now her 6-month suspension is supposed to have expired, and she's supposed to resume with the Senate on September 23rd. But now the Senate is saying, oh, you can't because there's a pending case at the appeal court, and you have to wait until then. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the coming days, but I am curious to know. Moving on, my second story of interest is concerning River State. It says Fubara and lawmakers warm up for return as Tinubu orders Ibas to prepare handover notes. Interesting. Now, barring unforeseen circumstances, the suspended governor of River State, Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu, And the 32-member House of Assembly will return to office on September 18th. Indications that the suspended governor, his deputy, as well as the state lawmakers will return to office were rife last week after closed-door meetings between president and the sole administrator in the villa, where Ibas was given a marching order to submit a comprehensive hand note of his 6-month emergency rule before his 10-day vacation ends. Now, President Bola Tinubu had on March 18th proclaimed an emergency rule in Rivers State and suspended Fubara and his deputy and the assembly for 6 months to douse political tensions between the governor and the former governor of the state, who also doubles as the current minister of the Federal Capital Territory, former governor Nyesom Wike. Now, the action of the president was aimed at addressing escalating political and security challenges in the oil-rich region following the increasing tensions between Fubara and various political factions, including former allies like Wike. Now, this particular story is one I'm looking forward to, really. You know, Fubara has been out of the government house in Rivers State for 6 months, right? He'll be concluding his 6th month, September 18th. And there's been a sole administrator, Ibas, that was brought in by the president. I still remember that night that the president declared a state of emergency. And now, a lot of people have come out to say declaring state of emergency is not constitutionally right. You know, some even cited when Jonathan was president, he wanted to suspend the governor of a particular state. But he was told that constitutionally that wasn't right, you know, and so it didn't happen. So how is it suddenly okay in this administration? You know, it begged a lot of answers. And also, why, I'm particularly interested why Wike is still interested in Rivers State. You have served your 8 years. Why not leave and focus on the FCT that you've been called to, you know, oversee? Also, another question I have is, why do we have chaos, banditry, terrorism, insurgencies go on in different other states, and no emergency rule has been put in place in those places? Meanwhile, Rivers State, that is relatively, I'm sorry to say, but Rivers State is relatively calm. I've been there a couple of times. In fact, during this space of suspension and whatever, I've been there. There's nothing to douse. There's no... There really isn't any rancor enough to, you know, put in an emergency rule. So, anyway, it's a good thing Fubara is coming back. And I really want to see what will happen after now. Also, I'm curious to know if he's going to run for another tenure. But anyway, finally, moving to my last story of interest, like we saw this afternoon, national grid collapses, disrupts power supply. Now, the Nigeria's national electricity grid collapsed on Wednesday, causing widespread power outage across the country. Data from the Independent System Operator, ISO, showed that power generation dropped sharply from 2,917.83 megawatts to 1.5 megawatts between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. Now, the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC, in a statement posted on X, confirmed the incident, citing a loss of supply from the grid at 11:23 a.m. They said the power outage currently being experienced is due to a loss of supply from the national grid, affecting electricity supply across our franchise areas. Now, the company added that the efforts were ongoing with relevant stakeholders to restore power once the grid is stabilized. Now, just before I got on the show, I checked for an update on X, and, you know, they've done well to, you know, show us the progress they've made. So they are restoring power, you know, area by area, little by little. So hopefully this doesn't linger for long. But my question is, why is it that this grid is always falling? What's the problem? I mean, kudos to them anyway. I think this is the first time it's falling in 2025. As of 2024, we had it for 12 times. You know, it was as though every month the grid would find some reason to collapse. You know, I just feel like we should, but at this time and age, this is 2025, we should have been able to rectify this electricity thing. It's not rocket science. You know, I feel like more competent people should be put in charge. This is 2025, guys. Let's fix this. We can't be talking about power outage in these times. Anyway, that's all I have for you on the news-making headlines, the news that caught my eye today. And we'll go on a short break. When I come back, we'll dive right into our topic of interest. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying tuned. And if you're just joining me, tonight's conversation is bordering on the 2025 UTME scandal and AI. We'll be talking about the future of merit in Nigeria's education. So please, let's hear what you have to say on this topic. Remember, you can join the conversation by sending me an SMS or WhatsApp to 08180384663. And also, my phone lines are open now. You can call in on 07025007749 and also on 070142424. I got that wrong. 07014242420. That's it. Now, you can call in and let's hear what you have to say. But let's dive right into what it is. The 2025 UTME has exposed a new kind of malpractice, okay? One powered not just by desperate students, but by advanced technology. Over 4,251 cases of biometric tampering, nearly 2,000 fake disability claims. Like, come on! And 190 AI-powered impersonations were uncovered. It's a wake-up call. Artificial intelligence, once hailed as a tool for innovation, a tool for learning, is now being weaponized, you know, to game the system. If exams like the UTME, the very gateway to higher education, can be hacked, then what happens to the future of merit and fairness and trust in our education system? Tonight, we'll dive into the scandal shaking JAMB and what it means for the role of AI in Nigeria's classrooms and beyond. And to help me unpack this whole saga, I'm now joined by Dr. Ludare Akinlaja, an educator and a managing partner, OAR&D company. Thank you for joining me this evening, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
All right. Okay, so let's just go straight right into it, right? You're an educator.
Yeah.
What do these numbers, I mean, over 4,000 biometric frauds and nearly 200 AI impersonations, what do they say about the mindset of today's students?
Well, I need to put, can you hear me? If you can hear me well?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so I also want to say this clearly. Let's not think it's just a Nigerian problem.
Okay.
But we're talking about Nigeria now, so let me remain in Nigeria without context.
Right.
One of the things, and this is always the global fear about artificial intelligence and what smart people or people who want to circumvent any process can use artificial intelligence for. Okay? And that's not the fear for artificial intelligence. But the truth is, it's not coming as a shock in that sense. What we should then do to those who are custodians of the system and the processes is that we can no longer do things shabbily, right? If we used to do things shabbily and got away with it, the system is getting more advanced, people are getting more intelligent, and we can no longer pretend. We need to get the best hands to serve as a defense or to serve as people who will protect the integrity of these exams. So if before you just pick a random person to come and work on the project because it's your family member, you can't do all that anymore, because the people you are trying to protect these systems against have become more advanced.
Yeah, but I want you to speak to the mindset of these students now, because I don't know how it works these days. It seems to have moved from the quest to actually putting the effort to abusing what the AI should do for us. So help us understand how their minds work these days.
It's not just the students. Did you know green an environment where parents need to help children look for special centers?
Sadly.
Or look for teachers who will sit in for the courses for the children. So I don't think it's just the students. The students, of course, will always find an easy way out, especially when there is now a general conversation around saying education we go chop, permit my use of our balance, who education help. When you begin to say all of that, unknowingly, you are beginning to sell the notion that education the process of proper education can be circumvented. And when children are also seeing parents as enablers, teachers as enablers, schools as enablers, the children, of course, I'm sure you can tell, even when we were in school, let's not pretend, in secondary school, a lot of us wished we had the easy way out, right? Because probably too lazy. But we just had people who ensured we went through that process. So if you give anybody the leeway to want to go through shortcuts, of course they'll take it. Okay. Bearing in mind that there are people who are making so much money who are not educated in post. Yeah. So the mindset is not of the children alone. It's a full value chain. It's a full value chain of schools that want to have good results because they want students to come in, right? Wow. A value chain of teachers who will be enablers because they want the children they taught to pass. You also have parents who don't want any child to repeat an extra year because to me they will have to pay more money, or they will have to receipt, or they will have to, so and nobody is thinking of the merit of going through any of the processes. Everybody is thinking of how can I circumvent any process. And that's why sometimes I laugh when people say or blame solely maybe the government. Or I as a person have an ideology, and that is that Nigeria's problem has metamorphed from one man at the top leadership. It has become a collective consciousness.
Okay, so I don't know if I get you right, because I was going to ask, so this new trend, is it driven by desperation to succeed, or just by a lack of confidence in the fairness of the system? Because, some people will be like, hey, at the end of the day, Seth, do you understand? So which is it? The desperation to succeed, fear of failure, or just lack of confidence in the Nigerian system?
You see, everything matters. And as a consultant, you are trained to look at things systematically.
Okay.
Right? It would be unfair for me to just isolate something and say, this. No. I'm always careful of emphasis because of the kind of environment we're in. People want to latch in on emphasis and carry on the trend. But the truth is, every single piece plays a vital role. Now you have mentioned the perception that education is not valuable.
Okay.
Being a consultant and an educator, every single person I meet, I'm asking you, what have you learned? You see, even this discussion about education, we need to start having it differently. I'm sure
I agree.
This is not the time to have it, right? But what really is this education thing we're talking about? We need to start changing our orientation generally as to what education is. You'd say someone must go to the 4 walls of a school, a training, a vocational institute. What really is education? But that's not the context of this program, so I don't want to bore you with that. But the truth is we need to start having those discussions because those things are what is creating a spin-off. You see, too many times people are looking at the effect of a thing and ignoring their causes. Every single thing you see today has a track record of a consistent behavior or a consistent validation of some ideologies. right? We got here because people felt education was not important, and we all kept quiet, and we are validating that ideology. We got here by people who did not go to school getting to the pinnacle of setting control systems in our environment, and the children are then saying, if this man did not need education to get here, why am I getting educated?
Yeah, anyway.
So this is the full value chain. It's the full value chain. Before you then get to, now say, the parameters for what success is has been totally redefined. And this redefinition has been done independent of quality education.
I mean, that's really, really sad if you put it that way. But now, we have mentioned special centers, right? And like you said, going back to our days, we know these special centers, we know they exist. And sometimes people want to lie to you and say, because we can't afford the total school fees, permit my language, make it just the good lesson for here. But in the actual sense, we know what that is.
Yeah.
So now, we know that these special centers, coach students, quote and unquote, into all these shortcuts. I mean, it hadn't advanced up until this stage where AI is now used. I mean, I'm still wondering how you are able to have multiple thumbprints. It's very crazy, right? So how much of the problem begins outside the hall, really?
So, first of all, we almost agree. Technology is just an enabler. Technology was on its own when you came to use it. Technology was standing on its own when you came to use it to perpetrate your actions, right? So we must get that clear. Technology is just an enabler, right? These things have been going on for long. Technology has just come to make it easier. Just as technology has made it easier for you to carry out your research, has made it easier for you to write a book, has made it easier for you to, I don't need to go to Google anymore to check anything. If we're having a discussion, I just need to get on ChatGPT, input the parameters, it gives me information. You see, so technology is not the problem. It's just going to help you amplify whatever you give to it. Okay? So I think that concept, that continuous validation of shortcuts, we cannot, it's in the psyche of every Nigerian, from how we drive, from how we jump queues, from how we, just look at it. It's a consistent psychology of trying to think there is a shorter way. It's the same way we even get a driver's license. Always thinking there is a shorter way to get anything done. It's what has translated now into our educational system. And technology is just there to say, use me. I want to be used. So that's what it is really.
Okay. Now, if exam malpractice, right, persists, let's talk about the long-term effects it could have on the quality of graduates that are produced. I mean, even without this AI, we see some graduates who sometimes you wonder, did you go to through the four walls of a school, right? So with the introduction of technology, what are the long-term effects we should look out for?
So if you ask me, I spoke about us first having a foundational discussion about what is this concept of education. Right? And I hope I have another time to talk about it when we have another issue to talk about it.
Okay.
But the truth is, the quality of graduates have already, the quality of the graduates we have is already in chaos because of our curriculum and the things that we teach already. So there's already a problem, okay? That problem already exists. Now, you now have people who will now, because you told them, you say, give me what I gave you. That's what you said. Don't think, just give me what I gave you. Okay, the child goes to ChatGPT, inputs the parameters, and gives you exactly what you gave them. Because you're not asking for critical thinking. You see, it's even going to be easier to circumvent the process for Nigerian students because the system itself is not asking for critical thinking. So the system must first, leave technology first, the system first must begin to push for critical thinking in how we teach, in what we teach, and how we ensure that learning has taken place. That needs to be sorted, right?
Yeah.
When that is sorted, because if you come to technology, you are solving the problem midway. Because if you say technology is the problem, you then say, okay, nobody must take computers to school. Does that solve the problem? Or nobody should use computers to write the exams. Does that solve the problem?
No.
It doesn't. So these are just amplifiers of what the real problem is. The real problem is that we are not teaching things that's going to allow for critical thinking. We are not teaching things that's going to allow for quality reasoning, that's going to allow for people to improve their aptitude, to improve their so that's why you have the graduates you have. The graduate problem did not start today. It started as far back as 15, 20 years ago. If we don't know. It's just getting now, it's just increasing now because the job size is shrinking.
That's right.
I told somebody, I said, there are jobs people get every day, but people don't have the prerequisite knowledge to get those jobs. Certain things cost that. Number one, your foundational learning experience out of the university. Number two, the things you have been exposed to. And number three, of course, that's very critical. Some people now don't even have the financial capacity to upgrade or learn new skills. So you see, it's a full. So we can't just come to one point. It's the same way. It's the same way people think by upgrading polytechnics to universities, you are going to solve the problem. Why do we always try to change the building and repaint our building instead of going to the foundation? Because any reform that will take place must first be chaotic before order comes in. I'm
tempted to say the Nigerian government left this group chat.
Of course, politicians will be politicians. You can't blame them. They will always be for crowd. Yeah, that's it. You can't blame. So we ourselves need to know what to ask for. We need to know what we're asking for. I'm tired of having conversations, even with educated people. We need to start knowing what to ask for. Some comes and say, education system is bad. Agreed. What are you asking for? What are the parameters required? We need to be more intelligent in how we present our thoughts. We need to be, because if I'm a politician, I will do what politicians do. Go to what the crowd wants. Just change the school from a polytechnic to a university because that is what you want.
So you're saying we're not asking for the right things. Anyway, sir, please hold that thought. We'll go on a short break, and when we get back, we'll get into it. All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about the 2025 UTME and AI. And we're asking what the future of merit is in the Nigerian's education system. And I have with me an educator who is helping us unpack all of these conversations. Doctor, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, thank you so much. So yes, just before we went on that break, you were talking about the fact that we as Nigerians don't even know the right things to ask of our politicians, of our I don't want to call them rulers because they're not, of our leaders, right?
They are rulers.
Right. So we're not even intelligent enough to know what to demand of them. But do you, by chance, think somehow the citizens are manipulated to think they actually need what they don't need?
So I need to, because this is a public conversation, and so that people will, the words will not be misrepresented.
That's
I
right.
said right, I meant that. Now, it reminds me of the story where they said 6 men, they were blindfolded, and they were asked to touch different parts of an elephant. Now, if you ask people to interpret to you based on their perceptions, we will all say different things.
That's right.
Now, so it's not about right or wrong. It's about where you are part time, what you are exposed to, and the things that is your passion and all of that. So it's not about right or wrong. It's about different opinions based on perceptions. But as a system thinker, there is always a procedure. As a design thinker, there's always a procedure to drive change. There is always a strategy to drive change. There is one thing that will open up into another, that will open up into another, that will open up into another. Right?
Yeah.
And that's how we need to start thinking about it. For education, do we need a constitutional review to make it work? What is even in the constitution about education? Do we need companies to stop the disparity between BSc and polytechnic degrees? Do we need, you need to be asking what within this frame is making this system not functional? We sit down and we look at it critically. It's the same way somebody sat with the tax laws. I'm not going to use that, but so we need to sit down every issue and unbundle and think about it like a system. We don't have time to tell you that, so let me not, but
Okay.
that's how we should start thinking. And that's why I think more people who are exposed to these kind of conversations need to get into the room and have their voices heard and become more participatory in the development of policy. The only problem, which is why most people, myself included, always avoid it, is that we're really very sensational around discussions. And if it is not noisy or aggressive or trendy, people don't talk about it.
Okay, just before I leave this particular conversation, you also mentioned that there are some things that should be taught in schools that would help, promote or prompt this critical thinking amongst people in order to produce a good quality, or good quality of graduates, right? So what are some of these things?
Yeah. Okay, so it is not even just about the things that are taught.
Okay.
It's also how it is taught. How do you test that a person is knowledgeable? Objective questions, 60 questions, pick A and B. That's how you test. With few points, please explain to me. That's how you test. What's your scenario? What case studies are you using? So these are what's the content of learning? These things are important. So, it's not really about completely on board. I don't teach them. You can teach history, and the person who studies history, you hear stories of people who read computer science who never find a computer, or who never look at the computer, who never write one program. People are talking about Fortran, talking about C++ in 2025. It's a lot. It's the content, it's how it is taught, it's how learning is validated. What's the strategy for validating learning? I'll say this to just conclude this point.
Okay.
15 years ago, a friend of mine went for a master's degree outside Nigeria. And his first test, the professor told them, you can open your book for this test. He failed the test. As a Nigerian boy, he's wondering, book test? This we don't. You mean I should open my book and write the test? Wow. But guess what? There's what you call plagiarism. There's what you call not thinking about the question. So that's in Nigeria. How many people can say open your book and write the exam? Because their questions don't drive critical thinking.
Okay, so now with all you've said, right, would you agree that we should rethink some of these high-stake exams, how they are administered in Nigeria? And if yes, right, how do we go about it? Digital versus standardized, decentralized versus centralized? How exactly?
Well, this discussion is even happening in America. America is trying to rejig the standardized testing to get into college.
Okay.
So, like I said, I'm always of the opinion they are winnable battles. They are battles that you cannot win because what's the strategy for getting people into universities? If 1 million people are writing university every day, trying to enter university, there has to be some form of standardized tests, right? That can serve as a gateway for people. before they get into the universities. But this is my point. My point is, even if a person, are you aware that people who just finished secondary school and their brain is not wired to go to the university?
Yes.
I know somebody who passed math, but because he had an F in English, he couldn't go. Why? Why? Math that people run from. Someone had their A in math and further math, and because he failed English, he was stuck. English, means of communication. So there's a lot that we need to talk about, but there's a lot that needs to be talked about. And sometimes okay, now, for instance, what I just said with English now, you see why I gave the elephant example. What I just said with English now, an English prof can hear me and become upset. But am I downplaying the importance of English? So you see why I said, it's always also important for us to think about the system.
Yeah.
What will unbundle into? It's not about right or wrong. It's about what can we do to make our system more productive, considering native intelligence, local thinking, and thinking within the context of what we call growth in Nigeria. How can we begin to redesign our educational process?
I mean, it's going to take a lot of, rethinking, reviewing, especially in the place of our leadership, because let's even start from the budget and how many % was given to education, right? So there's a lot to, this conversation is very broad, but then moving forward, right, we have, according to the report, 6,319 results are facing cancellation right now due to the depth of the malpractice in the UTME. Now, what must happen next to ensure genuine candidates are not punished? And, what else can also be done to restore public confidence? But I'm particularly, invested to knowing what can be done so that people that genuinely passed their subjects are not punished alongside the people that defaulted.
Well, maybe the guys who are in the text, who created the technology behind it, would have a way of determining or debugging to know people who cheated. But both of us are really not. We don't have that information to be able to tell the difference, because when you were in school, when one person makes noise in the class, they flog the whole class.
I know.
Right, but we can't play about such things because of the impact it has on young children having to retake a course or an exam when you put in your best.
Yes.
So which is why I think that the people who are behind the technology should have a way they can check. When you design LMS, learning management solutions, there are usually parameters you use to test people who are trying to circumvent the system. And you can tell. I just hope they had or pick people who are good at the work that they say they want to do or they are doing. And that way they are able to check the people that are actually involved in this process, because it will be a very irresponsible of the exam body to just lump up people who genuinely wrote that exam. You are going to have, it's going to be very chaotic, just like the way it happened in other courses. And there were counseling centers, and people in those centers actually wrote that exam genuinely. And children have to go back on the road again to write their exams. So we have to take a cue from this experience and know that some people will want to circumvent the process. How are we prepared for that?
Speaking of this 2025 UTME, there's just been a lot of drama since the day they wrote this exam. I mean, first you come and tell us that, what was that story? Something happened, so they had to make people rewrite the exams. And some people that wrote it and passed the first time, the second retake of the exam, they are failing. And the people that failed are passing. How do we, I don't know how we marry this. And now you're still investigating these exams and you're finding out this level of malpractice. It's just it's a shameful thing for us as a country if by now we're still battling things like this. So now how can JAMB balance, the need for mass testing with the demand for foolproof security?
You see, one of the things the Nigerian society must learn as of today is that our problems can no longer be ignored with concern us.
Yeah.
There was a time where politicians would steal money, and you and I will not hear until the next day in the newspaper. Right?
Yeah.
Now, anything that happens, we hear it as it's happening, as it hot. I mean, as it hot, we're getting the information,
Yeah.
right? Which means our problems are going to evolve, and the problems will no longer bow to a lack of excellence.
Okay.
People, the system will now begin to demand some level of excellence. You can no longer give the platform of jam to your uncles, younger brothers, cousins, sisters, nephew. Because the people who you are up against are ready to make your system look stupid. Are you ready for that? For instance, you know that if the system behind our international passport, for instance, is solid. Because people will want to circumvent the system.
Yeah.
There's a reason why banks spend so much money on identity, and people even still mess it up. Do you know what I'm saying? So that means systems that are hinged on technology, can no longer, whether it is government or anybody, you can no longer downplay the concept of excellence and giving it to the right people who will carry out the job effectively. So there has to be excellence with the people, because JAMB is just the exam body, right? They probably outsource the design, the back end, and all of that to other companies and contractors, probably. So you see, we have to start upping the game, vetting these people, and making sure that these exams are no longer going through all these challenges. Because if this same thing happens next year again, trust me, people might say, in Nigeria, now nothing will happen. But I want people to know today, and this is what I want to tell Nigerians. Politicians are getting weary every day because of how technology makes them look every time they gaffe.
That's right. That's right. I think I agree with you on that because, I mean, look at social media. They're very threatened by social media, right? So anything you call them out on, the next morning you're seeing something in the news, reacting to that. But
somebody went to an estate and took a picture. The next day, Lagos State government. So they are reacting quicker now. So
yes,
that's what I say. That's the power.
They really are.
Yeah.
And I, like you said, I think it's time for us to take advantage of it because we have their attention, whether we like it or not. We have their attention now. So it's what we do with that really matters. Just before we go, right, we've spoken on the end of the government. We've also established that technology is not a villain in this whole conversation, right? But now let's come to the parents of these children, these students, right? Just before we go, this is my last question to you. What is their role in all of this? What could they have done to avert this chaos that we have seen?
You see, I adjusted to talk about parents. I adjusted my situation.
You did.
Talk about parents.
Yeah.
But the obvious truth is that every policy that works, every system that thrives, parents are massive stakeholders. Because parents are the ones who pay these fees.
That's right.
They are the ones who the children go back home to. So we need to start to model excellence. I do this and people laugh. When your landlord comes and you tell your landlord, your child to tell your landlord that you're not available when you're in the house, you are sowing a seed.
That's right.
You are sowing a seed. It might sound irrelevant or inconsequential, but you are sowing a seed. You are reconstructing or you are deconstructing the concept of value and morality in the consciousness of that child. So you see, the first exposure or the first reveal of what quality, excellence, and hard work means is the parents. I went to, and if you check well, you hardly find children whose parents were professors or top academicians not do well in school.
Yes. True.
Because they saw what it was. They grew in that environment of love for books. You hear stories about my father used to make me read books when I was 4. My father used to make me read magazines when I was 3. That's always the story. So you see, the first inclinations to learning, to education, to loving knowledge must come from the parent. I think that is basic first, before we now begin to speak about the others, about modeling value, modeling morality, modeling excellence, modeling the concept of hard work, and all of that. It's very, very important. Very, very important in shaping the consciousness of a child. And because if parents begin to change their demands from the system will adjust because the parents are paying the fees.
Okay, I mean, we could go on and on this particular conversation. I wish we had more time, but maybe on another good day would invite you to actually talk about what education is right now, because I'm actually very interested. Like you said, a lot of people don't have what it takes to go to the university, and it doesn't mean they're not intelligent people, right?
Yeah.
It just means there are other things pressing for them, right? And they would actually succeed in those things. But anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Oludare Akinlaja, for being with us tonight. Like I said, we'll invite you some other time for more conversations. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, so we've seen tonight's revelations. You know, it reminds us that the battle for Nigeria's future is not just fought in politics or on the streets. It's fought in the exam hall. And over, 4,000 cases of biometric fraud, nearly 2,000 fake claims, and 190, AI impersonations. It tells us something deeper, that when merit is compromised, the foundation of our society shakes. Technology is not the villain, like I said earlier. It is the choices we make with it. And if we continue to hack the system, we are only hacking away, hacking away at our own future. Because, you see, true progress can only stand on the pillars of integrity, fairness, and merit. Anyway, thank you for listening to us tonight. Before I go, please do ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our social media engagements. And remember to like, share, comment, and invite your friends and family to watch us and follow us. If you missed our quote earlier, here it is. It says, the foundation of learning is built upon honesty. Without it, one's education is nothing but a lie. This was by Albert Einstein. And that's all I have for you this evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good evening.